The year 2024 brings a big headache to the Ministry of Education in Kenya as some 46,000 more students have qualified to join university, raising the number of students eligible for university education to over 200,000. This unprecedented growth in the number of students has raised concerns about the sustainability of the current model of education, the capacity of public universities, and the sufficiency of the available resources. The education system has come to a critical juncture where urgent action is needed to ensure that these students receive quality education without compromising the long-term sustainability of the sector. The current model of education in Kenya applies the student-centered funding approach. This model of allocation of resources based on student enrollment in the universities has both been praised for its inclusiveness and criticized due to its shortfall in finances. Indeed, this pressure on public universities and the funding model cannot be denied as another 46,000 students qualify for admission. This means the Ministry of Education now has to take immediate, concrete steps to make the funding model not only sustainable but also equitable. At the center of these challenges has been Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba. Ogamba maintained that despite the sharp increase in student numbers, the C+ grade cut-off for university admissions would be retained. His statement reinforced the government's commitment to providing every qualified student with an opportunity for higher education. But the rise in student numbers raises serious questions about universities' capacity to accommodate such an influx and about the government's ability to provide sufficient resources. Ogamba explained that the government was continuing to refine a model that is centered on the students and their anxieties over the sustainability of such a model. He reassured the university management that no student would drop out of university for lack of means, underlining that necessary financial and human resources would be availed to respond to the increasing demand. This rapid increase in student numbers exacerbates an ongoing funding crisis in public universities. The already resource-starved public universities are made to bear an even heavier burden with the new wave of students. Public universities have to cope with increased enrollment, the need for more lecturers, expanded facilities, and enhanced student support systems, all of which demand significant financial investments. While the commitments the government made are reassuring, they will still require being underpinned with tangible actions. Urgent reforms to the funding model will be needed because this funding model faced criticisms for failing students and universities over its long-term viability. To deal with this pressure, a number of reforms and solutions have been advanced. Among these, one of the major solutions is a more flexible and responsive funding model that can balance students' needs against resource limitations. This would include re-examining the student-centered funding model so that it remains responsive to increased demand while providing a more viable approach for public universities. Further to this, the government is also contemplating increasing the total funding put into universities in order to have them equipped for the increase in student numbers. This may include shifting resources from other sectors or finding extra money from international partners and agencies for development. Besides, the government contemplates collaboration with private universities in order to take some load off the public institutions. Therefore, with the current crisis in Kenya, the spotlight should be turned to the long-term goals of attaining accessible and quality education for all. The future of higher education in Kenya depends on how well the government can adapt the funding model and ensure that universities remain equipped to meet the needs of an ever-growing student population. Furthering this, other solutions that involve embracing digital learning and facilitating the collaboration between universities can help achieve this goal and create more opportunity for students without placing too great of a burden on public universities. Notably, it is not only important to have the government's role guarantee the accessibility of higher education to students who deserve admission but also necessary in terms of investment and reforms toward maintaining the standard of education at quality threshold levels. The crisis of 2024 university admission is a moment of truth for Kenya's education system. The rise in the number of students no doubt represents an opportunity to take a hard second look at the funding model, universities' capacity, and overall approach toward higher education. Indeed, with great leadership and innovative reform, the commitment to student success can make Kenya take this crisis as a springboard for future progress in the education sector. The need for a dialogue between the Ministry of Education, universities, and players is more desperate now than at any other time. Together, this can be materialized into having an education system that accommodates not only increasing numbers but lays a solid foundation for the future in Kenya. It can be marketed as an intense, inside view of both the current problems facing Kenya's education sector and a variety of potential solutions.